Hi guys and welcome to this lesson. Now in this lesson we're going to look at how to use GitHub. So I have GitHub open here on my screen, and in a few moments you're going to sign up for an account and create a repository. But let's just talk about GitHub for a minute. So one of the major advantages of GitHub is its ability to push our code from our local machine up to this website. So in the previous lesson we created a repository in Git, so a local repository or local store of our code, and we made a couple of commits to that. Now that's great, it's on our local machine and it's all saved there and it's safe, seemingly safe. But what you can do with GitHub is you can create an account, you can create a repository, and you can push the code from your local machine up to the web host here. So up to GitHub's host. So essentially GitHub is a website for hosting and sharing Git repositories. And what does that mean for you? Well, it can do a couple of things straight off the bat, such as it's a backup of all your code. So if you ever lost your laptop, deleted it, corrupted files, whatever it might be, you have a complete backup of all your code on GitHub. It also helps sharing and collaboration. So sometimes you might be working with a developer who is located in another country or another area or wherever it might be. You can simply let them have a look at your GitHub repositories and have a look at your code there. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is go ahead and sign up for a GitHub account. Don't worry, GitHub is free, and anything that we're going to do throughout the rest of these lessons is always on the free account. So don't worry about having to pay for it or anything like that. Now I already have an account, so I'm just going to sign in here. Now on the left hand side here, you'll see below the top left a green new button. So go ahead and click that. Now we have to give our repository a name. We're going to push the code that we created in the last lesson up to GitHub. So we already have that code committed to a Git repository, and now in a few moments we're going to push it up here. So what are we going to call this? Well, our application is called Hello World, so let's just call it that. There we go. If you want, you can give it a description. Now, you get the option here to make your repository public or private. Anything you make public is obviously open to the public domain, open to be crawled, open to be indexed by Google. That includes any information, any code, any email addresses that you put up there are all open to the public. There used to be a time when you had to pay for private repositories, but not anymore. So I encourage you to make your repository private. The next step here is to initialize a repository with a README. We already have that done as part of our Rails application, so leave that blank. Finally, press the green button here, Create Repository. So the Create Repository button gives us a few options here on the next screen. What do we need to do? Well, the commands that you can see here are what you can use for adding your existing repo to GitHub. So we're going to select HTTPS, so it's already selected here for us. Now what we need to do is, we want to push code from an existing repository from the command line. So you can see the second option here, or push an existing repository from the command line. That's exactly what we have. So let's copy these two commands. There we go, copy. And let's go now into our terminal and paste them in. Here's my terminal here, and as you can see, I'm in my Hello World directory. Paste and hit enter. So you can see here I'm getting an Apple prompt. That's okay. I'm going to do that now. If you're on a Windows machine, you may not get this, and that's okay. Now GitHub is doing its work. There will be times when you copy and paste in the two commands. So you can see the two commands just here on my screen. Git push origin master, and you may have to enter in your GitHub password. If that happens, don't worry about it. Go ahead, enter it, and keep working away. Okay, so what I've done here now is, you can see here, my GitHub account, so github.com/tstaunton, helloworld.git. So we created a new branch, which is called master, and we'll get to this now in just a moment. But what I want to do is just go back to my GitHub account and just click refresh, and as you can see, it's cloned our first repo. Pretty impressive. Already our code is up there. And how do I know it's my code? Because as you can see here, it has the comment or the name that we gave our repo in the previous lesson. There it is, all there. Okay, excellent. That was pretty quick, pretty seamless. Now as you can see down here, a README is automatically created for us. Let's change this a little bit to suit our project needs. And we do this by using what are called branches. So with Git, you create branches. And these are copies of a repository where you can make changes without modifying the parent file. So what we have here is our master branch or our parent files. So you can see here, branch master. Now don't worry too much, there might be a little bit of information overload for you at this time, but we're going to be using GitHub, branching, and all the other terminology you're about to hear throughout all of the lessons to come. So by the time you're finished this class, GitHub and Git are going to be second nature to you. So I just encourage you to persist at it. So as I say, in Git you create branches, and we're looking at the parent file of our application, which is called the master branch. What we need to do now is create a new topic branch. And we do that with the following command. So let's go into our terminal and let's say git checkout. So you can guess here from the word, we're going to check out our master branch. So git checkout. And what we do is -b for branch. So we're creating a new branch and we're going to modify our readme. There we go. So this command creates a new branch and switches to it. So you can see the resulting output. Switch to a new branch called modify readme. That's the name of our branch. If I enter the command git branch, you can see there are two here. The master and the modify readme, which is green and has an asterisk beside it to tell us that that is the branch that we're working on. Now, let's edit our readme. So back into my code editor. Here we are. Let me find my readme. So here it is down here. Okay, so as you can see it, pretty simple. Let's change this. We'll leave hash readme at the top, and we're just going to say something very simple. Our first hello world, keep doing that, hello world application in Ruby on Rails. There we go, pretty simple. Let's save that, Command and S, there we go, save. Now I should point out that everything we're doing is valid whether you're on a Mac or an Apple, as I am now, or Windows or Linux, whatever, it's all the same. Now what we want to do is we want to commit these changes. So we've modified our readme, and let's just check that. Let's type in git status. We used this command in the last lesson. So as you can see here, the message we get is pretty telling. It's pretty informative. On branch modify readme, so that's a branch we just created, we have modified the readme.md file. That's exactly what we wanted. Okay, perfect. In the last lesson, we used git add -A, so we used this command, git add -A, but we're not going to use that this time. Instead, we're going to say git commit -a-m, which allows us to put in a commit message, and we're going to say updated readme file. There we go. Close our quotation marks. So what's the difference here with git commit and git add like we used in the last lesson? Well, here git commit -a is just going to commit the changes that we've made to the particular file. So in this case, the readme file. If we were to use git add -A, that would commit all files, no matter if they had changes or not. But the only thing we want to do is commit the readme file. So anything with a modification. So if we just modify 2 or 3 files, that's what git commit would do. But if we use git add, that would add in everything regardless of any changes. So git commit -a and git add -A, some subtle differences there just to be aware of. Now we want to merge our changes to the master branch. So let me hit enter here on this. Git commit -a. There we go. Modify readme branch. Updated readme file. That's the message. We have 1 file change, 1 insertion, and 22 deletions. So that's the amount of information deleted from the previous file. So now, as I just mentioned, we want to merge our changes to the master branch, which as we know is all our parent files. So we do that with the following commands. Git checkout master. Switch to branch master. And now we want to merge our new or updated readme file. And we do that with the following. Git merge. And now enter in the name of our branch that we created. So we call that modify-readme. There we go. So as you can see, the end of this message here, 1 file change, 1 insertion, 22 deletions. Perfect. So the modify readme branch that we created has now become our main branch. That's exactly what we wanted to do. So this takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of repetition to get your head around, but keep at it and don't lose faith. What we now want to do is delete the topic branch, and we do this with git branch -d, name of the branch we want to delete. Modify readme. Deleted branch modify readme. We no longer need this branch because we've merged it up into the master branch. So I hope all of this is making sense. If not, drop me a message in the site's comments or Q&A section. Now, just so you know, deleting the branch is optional. A lot of developers don't do this. They choose to leave the topic branch in place or intact so that if they want to go back to it again, it's there. I delete it because I just like keeping everything nice and clean and always having my master branch. It's also possible to abandon a topic branch. You could do that with git branch -D topic branch, so the name of your branch. And the reason you would do that is if you've just given up on a piece of code, you said this actually is going down the wrong way, it's not working, I'm just going to get rid of this branch. That's how you would do it. So we've merged up our branches and we're all set. Now we want to push our changes to GitHub. So let me just go back to GitHub for a moment. Let's have a look here. So here's the README, and as you can see, let me just refresh this just to prove it. So as you can see, it's the original README file. Perfect. And the comment on the README is my first repo. Let's go back to our terminal, and the command we need is simply git push. Let that think about it for a minute. There we go. Now what? Our code is being pushed to GitHub. Let me refresh here. Well, hey, there we go. Look at that. I was almost expecting it not to work, but I knew it would. So as you can see, our README file on our local machine has changed. Let me just go back here. So here we go. We edited our first Hello World application in Ruby on Rails. We then committed that to Git. We then pushed those changes to GitHub. And if I go back to GitHub, as you can see, our new README file. And if you look here at our file, at our folder 3, our file 3 here, readme.md, updated README file. Perfect. Updated 4 minutes ago. A complete backup and the ability to share our code with other developers, pull it back down ourselves if we ever incorrectly deleted a file, or come back to it in a year, it'll still be there for you. Okay guys, that's it for this lesson. I really do hope all that made sense. If not, keep watching this lesson until it does and keep practicing. And if you need to, always feel free to reach out and ask me questions. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next lesson.